First of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Don Schwartz. I'll be the instructor for this class. But I want to explain the program, the purpose of the program, and how we put it together, which is really important. The whole idea of this program is to get you totally focused to the state examination. Now, most of you have taken qualification courses. In order to take the test, you have to take a qualification course, 3 for the sales, up to 8 for the brokers. As far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of information you don't need. As an example, if you did like a property management course, you might have one question out of that book that has like 550 pages in it. So here you're reading this thing, you're studying, and you're trying to remember all this information when in fact there's like one thing out of the book you think you really know everything at this point. So now you have to do something that looks more like the state examination. Well, I've been around this, started teaching when I was 16, I'm now 65, so I've been around it for a long time. And the pass rate, almost every time that test is given, it's 50-50. In other words, half the people pass, half the people fail. So what I try to do is make sure I can stay right on top of everything that I can, but make sure you understand the information. Because they can reword a question just so many different ways. Now, because they tell you there are 3 major factors you look for when you're evaluating real estate or looking for value. And what are those 3 factors? Location, location, location. I was watching one about, I guess, a chef, and they said, what are the 3 major factors in cooking or whatever it is? And they go butter, butter, and butter. And what they found was in the hotter areas, people preferred to, in the afternoon when the sun was at its peak, to walk on the shady side of the street. I like the sunny side. Now they got the cancer scares and everything else with the sun.
Doing a video previously brought this up, which I thought was rather interesting. He said, to remember these, he said, here's what you want to do. If you're going through a divorce looking for a new spouse, would you want a reproduction of the previous one or a replacement? That kind of help you remember how that
Well,
concept.
I never got into higher math. I fell asleep in algebra. I didn't like geometry, so I could add 2 and 2 and multiply, but I never got into higher mathematics. Okay, so fundamentally, I tried to figure what this out is, and actually to figure it out, you probably have to use algebra. I would never plan to try to teach anybody algebra or even think about it. So you can't use algebra on the test, and nobody really teaches it. It's too difficult to understand. So I came up with something that bypasses that. So you can answer those questions, but you don't have to understand how the algebra works. So any of these time periods they could ask about the test. So it's just a lot of times you might get like one question on it, but you have to know one of these things to pick it out. So you need to know all this when you get over there, because you don't know which one they're going to ask you. You don't have to get 100% or 90% or 80%. We're training you to pass the test. And things that confuse you, you just don't want to know at this point. Learn them when you get out in the marketplace if you need them. This is pretty understandable. So the market's going to pay you whatever they think it's worth based upon the rate of return they want. They already know how much money they're getting. Now they know what rate of return that has to represent to them. From that point, we just have to figure out what would you normally be looking for. Economic obsolescence. And if you see it there, wouldn't you assume it's correct? So because you've studied practice questions, that's the only one you've seen, you go, hey, there it is. And you just mark that as correct. You're on to the next one because you know you got that one right. See? But it isn't right because you didn't read all the words in the question. That's why half the people fail the test. Assume you've never seen them before and then answer the questions. Now, I'll give you some tips on the best way to take the test. But I have more people come in and says, you know, Don, if you'd have told me that before somebody told me, I would have passed my test. I missed by 2 or 3 or 4 or something.